Welcome again to this live workshop and webinar session of Accienta plus Smartsheet. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking some time to take this workshop today. So let me introduce Sarah. Sarah, you can give us a few words about yourself.
Hi, so I'm Sarah. I work at Smartsheet. Some of you have met me as your client relationship manager, and here today, glad to welcome you here online and also face-to-face. So nice to see you, and it's first hybrid event that we're doing in the Middle East. Special mention to the guys who came all the way from Jeddah. Really appreciate that. And hopefully you enjoy your session today and find it useful.
Thank you, Sarah. So just to introduce myself, my name is Carolina Fong. I'm the Digital Engineering Manager at Accienta. And let's start with today's session. So our main topic is how to bridge the gap between transparency and data visibility in your organization. So this is a common thread for any industry and any company nowadays. First, we'll go through the agenda just briefly. We've already had the poll. And we'll start with Accienta and Smartsheet introductions. Then we'll go through a short survey that we have some of the existing clients complete regarding the main business challenges. We'll go through some Smartsheet success stories because it's always important to get an idea of how to use technology for company's advantage. Then we'll do a technical demo. And last but not least, we'll have a Q&A session at the end. So let's start with this quote. Why change? Why technology? Why now? So the 2018 Corporate Longevity Forecast from InnoSight, which is an innovation consultancy out of the US, mentioned that 50% of the S&P 500 will be replaced over the next 10 years with more companies, some of which don't even exist today. What does that say to you? Like, change is present. We all see it with the pandemic, with the industries, and with the use of technology. So if change is there is another very interesting quote from, for example, former CEO of Cisco Systems, John Chambers. 40% of today's businesses will fail in the next 10 years. These quotes are not too alarming. It's just to show you that things are changing faster than ever, and you need to adapt your strategy, your technologies, and your team to not only survive, but thrive in the future. So what's going on today? Today's work environment looks a lot different than it used to. The projects are more complex. The change is present everywhere, as I said, in all industries. Maybe before people used to think, oh no, construction is slow paced, or they don't use technology that much, mining, other industries, but now everyone is disrupted. So it's very important to adapt to change. We have dispersed team, not only geographically, but even in the same city. With the pandemic restrictions, maybe you had to work remotely. So there are more changes there. Blurred borders. So we have different vendors, different departments, and we need to collaborate more than before. And we need a faster output. So more deliverables with tight timelines. What if your organization can accelerate innovation, be more agile, and exceed customer expectations? So don't just stay there doing the same thing over and over again. If you need to change, try to use intelligent automation to your advantage, your operations, and how to increase effectiveness with those changes. Last but not least, scale with confidence. And this is where a tool like Smartsheet comes in.
So Smartsheet as a company has been in the industry for about 15 years. Been helping clients regardless of the industry they're standing in. We're what we call an industry agnostic company. The main point is that we've been working with 75% of the Fortune 500 located everywhere. As you know, the company is an American company, so a lot of our customers are actually heavily focused in the US and Canada, Australia, but we've also expanded in Europe and the Middle East, hence why the event's for today. We've worked with 83,000 brands from Domino's, Fox News. We've sponsored this year McLaren for Formula One. We're also working with smaller companies. And then this year with the pandemic, we started working closer with the pharmaceutical company, like the French company Roche. Also, some companies that you might recognize as well, PayPal and Cisco. Obviously, everyone knows about those ones. What is Smartsheet? I know that someone asked me earlier, what does it actually do? So we're the gap between your structured tech stack, so that will be something like SAP or Oracle, and your unstructured tech stack. That is emails, chats, phone calls, and we're here to bridge the gap between those two. We're not competing, it's not what we're trying to do. What we're actually trying to do is be the connector between those different softwares that your company might be using. So we're working with connectors around your business application, so that's your Microsoft 365. We're also working around file storage, so a lot of companies use Dropbox or similar companies, and all around your identity, so the single sign-on with Okta, that's to protect your security when it comes to the company, but also different workflows like Microsoft Workflow again. So we're here to bridge the gap and connect the dots between all of your technology and make sure that they all work as one and speak as one. So what does it effectively do for your business? It helps you plan things around your business strategy. It also helps you capture the right processes that your company is using, also for different departments as well. And it helps you manage the data coming from across different departments, different teams. So how do you actually manage all of that load of data? Automate your workflows. We all know that as companies, whether you're small, medium, or large, government or private, you do have a lot of workflows, a lot of processes around because you will be audited, and you also need to understand how your business is currently running. So it does manage to automate all of your workflow, and that brings back to reporting. You need to report on how your business is doing. You need to understand as a company where your money is going, where is it coming from, and how well you're doing. So we've added some captures of what Smartsheet looks like for some of you who don't know. But you can see all of the little snippets of screenshots that Tamer will be running you through anyways later down the line. So in terms of numbers, we are helping clients, especially executives, save 1 day a month just on reporting. That's done by simple clicks with a dashboard. That's all they need. We've also been able to save time for people to actually focus on resolving their issues and less on spending time getting and gathering the data and then spend another day analyzing it. So we've moved completely all of that gathering data and get them to what is actually important for the business, which is analyzing and making sure that you're tackling the right issues that are happening. And why is that? Well, everybody wants to get their product and services at the market as fast as possible before the competition hits, right? You want to be there, you want to be the innovative one, you want to be the one that has the competitive edge. So it puts you back at 15% faster to get your product in the market. So these are numbers that we've been doing with our clients and also doing some more surveys and analysis as well. So it's important for us to actually be working with a company that has a footprint in the Middle East. We're an American company, yes, but we do understand that the Middle East is a bit different. The customer base is different as well. So it was important for us to work with Accienta, who also has a large number of years doing consulting across different companies. And this is part of, it's good to have your tool, but also it's better to understand how to work it. We don't want to be just another tool on the shelf that the IT department is going to kill you for. So I'm going to let Accienta go back. Thank you, Sarah.
So Accienta, who are we? We like to call ourselves digital transformation enablers. Why? Because we work with different platforms, Smartsheet being one of them. But in the end, our aim is to deliver a first-class optimized set of processes and collaboration environment that drives value throughout your organization. The keyword here is value. Like Sarah already mentioned, there are many platforms, many technologies, but how do you actually create value out of your investments? That's where professional services like ours as Accienta can help you understand the tool better, understand your processes, and where these two match, and you can get most value out of the platform. So we are a Dubai-based company. We have a diverse team of more than 50% women, which for both tech and some industries like construction is really important. And we can support your organization with different languages like English, Arabic, Spanish, Tagalog, and more. So how do we introduce change? Based on Smartsheet as this world-renowned platform, let's look at your before. We like to call it as is to be. So you're as is, your present moment. You have an organization, most probably working in silos, and you have a static work environment with many manual processes. People need to talk to each other, maybe using email, phone calls, WhatsApp, whatever the company is using. But the information ends up being dated. That means that someone inputted data, but it stayed there. There is no smart capability to it or not analysis. So maybe an employee needs to go through an Excel sheet and understand that information, basically, make sense out of it. So we want to go from this to a dynamic work environment. We want to have digital processes where you can capture data live and have reports and dashboards that are connected. Our colleague Tamer, who's one of our technical consultants, will show you this more in detail in the technical demo presentation. But all the data is connected, and this is why it's really important. It's not like copy and paste from Excel sheets. Inside Smartsheet, numbers really talk to each other. And the end is to have a collaborative work platform that's dynamic, basically. So now we'll go through some of the main highlights of the top business challenges that some of the clients responded and decided on.
Yes. So the reason why we've asked for you to complete the survey is because it was important to understand, as organizations, what type of challenges are you currently facing? So it could be challenges that you're facing at the moment, but it also can be challenges that you're thinking of, in 2, 3, 4 years down the line, as any business do, you plan. So what potential challenges are you going to be facing? After doing the survey, the analysis that came out of it, by the way, this is all done through Smartsheet, just so you know. We have realized that one of your biggest concerns was around time wasted when it comes to manual tasks. We all know, even I do it, drives me nuts, and you just want to be able to get it automated and all done and get over it. The other one was visibility across departments. Small teams, big teams, if you don't speak to each other, if you're not sitting across each other, if you're not even friends, it's very hard to know what they're doing. With COVID, it removes everything around sitting next to your neighbor and actually trying to figure out what they're doing. Not all of us want to be communicating via Teams to other teams that you don't really speak to all the time, right? So being able to understand what other departments are doing and being able to collect this as an organization is a very important, but also a business challenge that we have seen when it comes to the survey. The other one is the change management. Change management, obviously. Again, this is why Accienta is here. Consulting is important. It's important to understand how you're using the tools. It's important for your company and your workforce to know how to make the best out of the tool. Otherwise, again, it ends up another software off the shelf that you've paid money for, not using it. Not helpful for anyone, or even helpful for us either. So what we are doing is trying to show you with the demo that Tamer is going to do later on, how do we tackle all of these challenges? How can you actually use Smartsheet for this? And one of the points is, well, actually, have we done it elsewhere? I have mentioned earlier that we've been working in the industry for 15 years. We have done it multiple times, but it's good for you to understand how we've done it with a couple of examples that we're going to be presenting.
So everyone knows Uber, right? Who doesn't know Uber? They connect drivers with people who want to go to places. This started to grow exponentially during the pandemic, but not only for the passenger going somewhere. Maybe packages needed to be delivered from one point to the other. People were avoiding human contact, so a service like Uber was a great option, right? With this huge growth, their marketing and campaigns team were struggling with how to reduce the time they were taking to apply new changes and for planning, execution, etc. So they used Smartsheet. And with Smartsheet, they passed from close to 2,000 person hours to the 1,412 person hours. And they were able to cut their process time by 50% while relying on a single source of truth for planning, execution, and reporting. So it is not only a platform that will keep your data and make sense out of that data, but it can also help you fast track new changes, new campaigns, and decrease the time. Now, one question we get all the time is, what about the Middle East? What about clients in the region? We want to know the companies using Smartsheet in the region. So these are just some of the examples of existing clients. Like you can see, there are different industries like pharmaceutical, consulting, construction, real estate, and even government. And one of the parts I'd like to highlight here is this quote by our client, Adam. Thank you, Engineer Anas, for being extremely supportive during the training sessions, but also providing better solutions and new ideas for our system. As we said, the tool is top-notch, but how to get value out of the tool? You really need a team that is going to support you through that digital transformation, understand your processes, and give you the best solution and ideas that you can have to solve your issues.
And before we jump in onto the next slide, you can show me. I have a quick question. I'm gonna make you guys work for a bit, right? What is the most important aspect for a company? Government, private, international, what do they care about? And don't give me the whole, they care about their people. They do, but what is the bottom line?
Money.
Thank you, Paul. Yes, money. It's all about the money, right? No one can survive if they don't make money. What's the point? We're not a charity. Even charity do make money, right? So this is why we thought today what we're going to be doing is giving you the demo around cash flow. Everybody understands what money in, money out, how do we get it? Who do we need to chase? We do a lot of chasing around those invoices. So how do we do that? But before we jump in, I want you to put your hats on. Pretend you're the CEO of your company for today, and then think about how do you follow up on your account receivable? How do you currently do it? What is your status quo? I also want you to think about, is actually your data accurate? Can you rely on your data? Or is it the data of last month that hasn't been updated? Do you require any manual tasks to analyze the risks that your company is facing? And are you confident that once you bring that data to you, the leadership today, that it is accurate, that you're going to be able to make the best decision because your data that you're getting from today is reliable and you can be able to provide the better next step for your company? Think about this while you're watching the demo, because that will help you understand how it can actually help and what is the difference between the two. Was it to be?
As is to be.
As is to be.
So yes. Present to future.
Yeah, exactly. Samir, I'm leaving it up to you. Please present yourself so they know who you are, and then go ahead.
Hello, everyone. This is Tamer Mustafa. I'm working in Accienta as a technical consultant for Smartsheet. And I'm going today to show you the technical part in Smartsheet. So as Sarah said, first of all, thank you everyone who joined us today. And I hope that we will succeed in helping you to see your business from different perspective. As Sarah said, we are going to show you something related to accounts receivable, how we managed to handle it using Smartsheet, how we managed to have a complete insight on the company receivable. And also we are going to show you some of Smartsheet add-ons like Dynamic View and Pivot app, and how we will add more functionality to our solution using this application. And at the end of this session, we're going to show you something called Control Center for these. It's not related to account receivable, but it's related to businesses which is project-based business. So this will be at the end of the session. I hope you will enjoy it and it will add value to your business. So let me share my screen so we can start.
Yeah, and just before we start, while Tamer is doing the screen sharing, he's going to show you something that it's a dashboard. So the dashboard, just think of it as what you actually want as the executive team, that all you care about. So he's going to get you from there and then show you how we've actually done the entire process to get to that result.
Yeah. So this is a dashboard of the solution, and you can consider it also the user interface. Let me walk you through the dashboard first, then we're going to go through the sheets and reports. So here on the top right, we can see the total outstanding receivables of the company, which is 46 millions. Okay, and here is a breakdown of this amount: 37 million overdue receivables and 8.9 receivables which is still not due. On the left side, we can see it the same, but on form of percentage. So basically 81% of the company receivables, which is 37 million, is overdue receivables, and 19 still not due receivables. Okay, if we move a little bit down, we can see more details. We can see the same percentage, but by age. So we can see here is the same 19%, which is up here, and not on due receivables. And this 81%, we can see it in more details here by age, invoices age, or sorry, amounts age, or values age. So basically 28% of the company receivables is 60 days late, or 6 days overdue. Okay, so on the left side here, we can see the receivables in the form of age by age. Okay. So if the font is small, I'm not sure if you can see it well. So here it's 30 days, up to 30 days. Here's up to 60 days. The values up to 6 months. The values up to 1 year, more than 1 year here. This is actually the breakdown of the values which is shown here above. So if we move more down here, we can see the top 10 overdues by customer. So basically, we need to focus on these top 10 customers to improve the collections in our company. If we move more down, we can view the collection performance here. So here's this curve showing you the collection performance by month. So and on the right side also we can see the collection performance, but by values. So the amount collected each month. The graphs is showing only 4 months, but actually it can accommodate up to 1 year. So if you have data for example, 5 years in the application, it will always show you the last year. If we move more down, we can see some table which is ordering the invoices by activity. It's ordered descending. So basically, the invoices which on the top has least activities, and in the bottom has more activities. The color of the row indicating the age of the invoice. So basically, we need to focus on the top invoices because it has the least activities, and the bottom. In the bottom, we can see, for example, this invoice, it has red color, means it's more than 6 months age, but it has recent activities in 20th of November. That's why it's coming to the bottom. So basically, we need to focus on the invoices, which is on the top. So as you see, the dashboard giving us complete insight about the receivables in the company and helping us to know which areas needs our focus. If we look here, we can see that we need to focus on these companies to collect this overdues, top 10 overdues. And when it comes to time, for example, in October, I see that I didn't perform well in collection, so I need to focus more in November. If we come here, this is invoices on the top. I need to focus on it because it has the least activities. So it's giving you a complete insight about your receivables in the company. And this is not the standard dashboard. You can design it according to your needs. Okay, this is just for the sake of demo. So here also there is one report which is detailing this, what I showed you, but in a different way. We can just view it now.
So just before we get to the report, I wanted to add that the dashboard can be customized the way you want to your department. So for example, thinking about, I spoke to 2 gentlemen earlier that do food trading, or actually you can think about it, okay, how many sales do you have done per month? How many sales are you doing per year? What type of projects are you working on? But also share that with your clients. You know, if you're a distributor as well, share what the capacity you're expecting for this year, for example, and then where they're at, so you can be able to analyze the gap that you have. It can also be used for, I can see a gentleman at the back there that do crude trading. We're actually trying to understand how much crude you're going to be importing this month. Where is it located? How much do you need? Your costs, and also be able to hedge as well with this. So it's just for you to be able to relate it back to your own business and your organization. Sorry, Tamer, you can go.
That's okay. Thank you, Sarah. This report can show you what I have just shown you, but in different details, not visualized, but just in a shape of or in a form of hierarchy. Okay. So here is a total outstanding 46 million, which I showed you there. Here it's 46 million, and 8.9 million, this is the total outstanding receivables. Divided into not due amount and overdue amount. Basically, we have 57 invoices in total, 4 not in due, 53 overdue invoices. We can just click here and see more details. This is the companies. For example, this company has 3 invoices, and this is the total of the invoices. There is no collection amount received. For example, this company, company C, has 9 invoices, and this is amount received, and this is outstanding. I can just expand this and see more details. I can see the invoices itself. The invoices attached here. If you can see, we can see the last activity happened, last collection date, the due date, the health of the collection, the color indicating the age. This can give you also good insight about the receivable in the company. This report. So going back to our dashboard, I would like to walk you through the sheets as well. So I would like to, one second. Yeah, I would like to tell you how this data is coming. Yeah, where is this data coming from? This data is coming through 2 forms. One form is for invoice. Once you receive a new invoice, you have to fill this form, and another form for collection. Let's see the new invoice form. Just if you click here, once you receive an invoice, you just need to enter the customer ID, invoice number, invoice date, invoice value, due date. Assigned to means the internal person who is responsible about the collection, and you can attach the invoice here. Okay, and here we can submit the collection, customer ID, invoice number, amount collected, collection date, the payment method, whether it's check or transfer, remarks about the collection, attachment, supporting documents, whether it's check copy or transfer voucher or whatever. Okay, and each time you make one record here, it's being listed here in the account receivable sheet, and each collection you make is listed in the collection sheet, and they are linked in the background to each other. Now let's open this sheet, and which is the most important sheet in the solution.
It's important to say that these are also live documents. So as soon as you're importing any data, anyone within the department or even the company can have access to it, assuming obviously they had a shared access to the sheet. You don't need to be a Smartsheet licensed user. You can just have the access by the administrator to be able to view the data.
Okay. And also,
just to add that comment, if you are concerned with permissions, because yes, you want to share data, but also different roles should have access to different sheets and others not. There are additional products as well that you can use, like the Works apps, for example, where each role will see only what they need to see and not all the sheets.
Yeah. If you're receiving a massive number of invoices and collection per day, you cannot rely on forms. You can also use some add-on in Smartsheet called Data Shuttle. Here, Data Shuttle will help you to upload a massive amount of data to one sheet. You can define or make one rule, which is updating the data on a regular basis in your model, and of course, this dashboard will be updated automatically. So
yeah,
going
and that
back,
covers Excel documents, PDF, CSVs for now, and we're also on the roadmap of trying to expand even more data file types to be able to integrate with Smartsheet.
Yeah. So each record we made through our form or through the data shuttle, it will end up in this sheet. Okay. Each row here represents one invoice. However, the sheet is adding more calculated columns like the aging, it's calculating the aging, it's getting the customer details, who's the contact person in the customer from the customer detail sheet, because we have customer details sheet here, which has who are the customers and the contact person in each company. So all this data coming from this sheet here. So in the due date, the solution or Smartsheet is going to send an automated email to the contact person in the customer company, following up the collection, and you will be posted, of course, when this is done using Smartsheet automation. Okay, and let's say that you would like to follow up on the collection manually. You know that each collection has two persons in charge for this collection. One is internal, who's assisting in the collection inside your company, and the other one is external, which is the contact person in the customer company. So just with a simple click, I can just click here. Here, I want to follow up with this. This is the internal person, and this is the external person. Okay, this is column called contact column in Smartsheet. So just by checking these boxes and just click save, the Smartsheet is going to send an email, follow-up email, to this internal colleagues to ask them to follow up on this collection. The email that they will receive, it will be something like this follow-up email, and they need to open one form through the email, which they can update through the email. No need to go to the sheet. Here they can see the invoice itself. They can insert here the expected amount that will be collected, expected date of collection, and just click submit. Let's do it. For example, if I will click here, I will say 31st.
And also the forms are accessible through your phone, iPad. We all know that we're on the move working all the time. So you don't need to connect your laptop to actually input the data. It will still show you the same format that you can see here on the screen. Obviously, it's going to be adapted to your phone or your iPad for you to be inputting this. So I'm mentioning this because in the UK, we work a lot with engineers, like, for example, the Transport for London. And a lot of the engineers work outside on the field. They don't have access to their laptop all day. So instead of having to wait at the end of the shift to come back home, add an extra hour, they could just spend with their family instead. They have just this functionality that are called forms to just be able to update their information via their phones or even iPads, sorry. So it is a very usable function. We as sales and Smartsheet use it to expense our work. So it just makes sure that we can just expense it as we go instead of having to go back at the end of your trip and have to do the whole paperwork.
Okay, and also you can make comments here like this, for example, and just submit the update. And that's it. This is for the internal person. Also, when you click here, let's see, first of all, this update, how it will impact our sheet. Let's refresh. Here is the collection, which I just made, 31st of December. It impacted the sheet. And here's a comment, which I already did. Here, I'll do my best. So just if I would like to select all the invoices, which is, for example, 60 days invoices, I'll just filter it here. This is all the invoices. I want to follow up internally like this, and I want to follow up externally as well. If I just check here, this will follow up with the external person in the customer.
So it's important to mention, like what Tamer is saying, there's an automation behind it. So at certain key dates that you want that reminder to go, it will go. but it's dynamic enough that you can have extra follow-ups or requests as well.
So yeah, if I just click save, and emails will be sent to all of these people internally and externally, ask for collections, following up the collection, asking for expected date of collection and expected amount. And also the good thing is in the expected date that they will insert through the email, the Smartsheet is going to follow up with them automatically in this date without any interference from anyone. And also, you can see this sign here means that there is update request sent to this person, one of these two persons, and still pending. And you can follow up all these updates from here on the right side. You can see pending updates completed like this. Who is a person here? Also, all the invoices attached here. You can see it. And that's it regarding the receivable solution. But we would like to add more functionality to this. We're going to use dynamic view add-on in Smartsheet called dynamic view, which basically here.
So dynamic view, yeah, it's all about securing your data. We understand that companies want to protect the data. They want to protect their clients, whether you're private or government. And it's important even internally to only give access to the people that actually need to work with the data and not everyone. So this is where dynamic view comes into play. It gives you the accessibility to set up profiles depending on someone's role, someone's responsibility, what they need to actually see. But it can also be externally. So if you're working with clients, vendors, partner channels, it's also good for them to have their own access and their own profile to only be able to see what they need to see. So in Europe and the rest of the world, obviously to protect the data is very important, but we've also seen it in the Middle East even more so recently, especially when it comes to government. We're working with the Ministry of Health in the Middle East, and for them it's important to keep their patients' information confidential as much as possible and not be shared with everyone. So this is where the dynamic view comes into play, and Tamara is going to show you what it actually looks like.
Yes, as Sarah said, it's helping in security part. I mean, if you have more than one collaborator like this sheet, more than collaborator working in the same sheet, but you don't want them to see each other rows, so you want everyone to see only his own rows without having to know about the other rows. So dynamic view is good for this. So it's also good to have it if you have a business which is region-based, so each region can see its own data, or if you have branches, so each branch can see their own data, or it's good also in human resources, if you can share one view with your employees, so each employee can see the view from his own perspective, so he can see his payroll data, he can see his, for example, annual leaves. So each one will see the view from his own perspective. This is the point of the dynamic view. So what I want to do here is I want each one from the collectors or the internal collaborators to see only his invoices. No need to see all of this, or no need for me to check this to follow up with them manually. No, I need them to have a view so everyone can see only the invoices related to him. For example, Tamer here, which has company A, company F, and company C. So here is the view how it will look like. Company A, company C, company F. This is my view as Tamer. I see all my invoices only. I don't see other invoices. I can just click on the row and just update the amount and the date and just submit the change. And each one open this view will see it from his own perspective. And also we can create another view for the customer. So each customer can see only his own invoices. And this is for free. And the customer will have free accounts without any expenses or fees. So this is the customer view, the customer see. Okay, they will see only their invoices. And any customer A, when they click on this link, they will see invoices related to customer A without having anything to know about any other customer. All you need to do is just to share this link with your customer, and that's it. And that's it. And this is about dynamic view, but let's add more functionality to the solution using the Pivot app. Let's see what Pivot app can do for us. Let's assume that the CEO or CFO would like to see the receivables by customer, because we know that all what we have here is by invoice. We can see company, see here one time, this is one invoice, another invoice, third invoice. But the CEO or CFO would like to see in total by customers. So here's the role comes for the Pivot app. All I will do, I will just open the add-ons here. I will choose Pivot. I'll just create a new pivot. I will search for the sheet. One second here.
Well, Tamer is creating this pivot, so you see how fast it is that you can get data from sheets and create certain views that are relevant to you. This is what we're trying to show, and that's why he's building it live. So you see how fast it is. This would actually be done just once, and then you can just run it several times in the future. But it's really quite flexible in the system. And again, it's important to mention as well that it can apply to different industries. This is an example of cash flow and accounts receivable, but it could be an event. It could be about a marketing campaign like Uber is using, or it could be even about your internal operations and tasks with your different departments. Maybe a key project that you need to follow up. So the sky is the limit. It's all about using the right fields for the right data that you need to capture that is relevant to you.
Yes. So Pivot, I think everyone knows Pivot, what Pivot does if you're Excel users. Pivot is just summarizing the data. So all I will do is, this is one time only. All I will do is I will do the report here. I will just choose a customer name because the report is required to be by customer. I will just add the invoice number here. I will choose the status here. And I will choose the outstanding invoice here. And I'll call it account receivable by customer. Okay. And I will let it run 1 hour after each hour. Okay. This is only, I'm doing this only one time, and then it will be running on the background automatically without any interference from anyone. Next. Then I'll have to choose a location where I want to locate it. I'll locate it here. No.
I don't know if you were seeing at the beginning the numbers on the account receivable. Has anyone picked up that that company is currently doing really bad? Like they're not even picking up that money. And we've actually made it on purpose because when we're working with clients, we realize that it takes them so long to be able to understand the status of what their accounts looks like at the moment, that when we come in and work with them, we're just thinking, I don't know how you guys are doing it so far. You need to be chasing those money. But the most thing that we receive is actually, well, we don't really know where the invoices are. We don't really know who is chasing what. We don't really know if they've actually have received the amount, because sometimes people would receive payment from the customer, but they're just not updating the system. So it just creates a lot of confusion internally to the company, but also to the clients. How bad would you look if you go back to your client saying, oh, mister, you haven't really paid your invoice. Well, no, I've actually paid it 2 weeks ago. Do you guys seem credible after that? You don't really, right? So we're just removing all of that hassle and automating the process. So that only what you have to do is focusing on what matters most to your business, which is around your strategy, trying to get your clients to be more, how do you say the word? Sorry, I'm
responsive.
Yes,
responsive.
Sometimes I have to think about my
in a
word.
polite manner, and so they're also familiar with the tool. And we've seen that in some implementations with Smartsheet and other technologies, when the clients like the tool, they may end up adopting it as well.
Yeah,
And then you can have a more integrated solution for everyone.
That's true. And we have also seen clients actually showing us completely different ways of how they use Smartsheet that we didn't even think about. So it's just so customizable. And the thing is, it's a no-code platform, right? You don't need to be a tech expert to know how to use it. If I learn to use the tool in 2 months, you guys can also learn how to use it so fast. It is really that user-friendly. Sorry, Tamer.
Yeah, it's okay. So I created the pivot here, and it will be running automatically every hour. But I will do it manually this time because we will not wait 1 hour for it to run. Okay. Create.
Please, Edna, just like to ask for those who are joining from our webinar, if you have any questions, please type them in the chat box, so we'll go through them at the end of the session. Thank you.
Yeah, the first time the pivot runs, it's just taking maybe 30 to 60 seconds. Then it's running very fast after this. It's okay. And this is only one time while creating the pivot, and it will be running in the background.
While we're waiting, how many of you in the room and also in the chat are working on project levels or portfolio levels when it comes to your company? If you can raise hands. Yeah, 3. What the rest of you guys do? No projects. Okay,
So
that's
the pivot has been created. Yeah, it's okay. The pivot has been created. If we go to the location where it's created, we can see here, just need to refresh the page. Yeah, you see 1 minute ago, the report has been created. AR by customer, just let's open it. Let's collapse everything. So we see here in total, customer A, this is outstanding receivables not due, and this is overdue receivable by customer in total. Okay, and down here is a total, which is 46 millions and 8.9 millions. I can just format this to make it like cash, this money. Okay, I can expand to see the invoices of this customer, for example. I can see all the invoices here, but of course this is not readable because it's not, we didn't make any conditional formatting or something. I did already one report, so I want to show you how it will look like at the end, formatted. This is how it will look like, the report. This is by customer in total. And here is the total down here. And let's say that the CEO or CFO would like to see this report on a weekly basis. We can do this also automatically without anyone have to prepare the report and send it by email and all this hassle, no need. We can just make like this, send as attachment. I want to send it in Excel format. To whom? We'll enter here, person. I can choose more than one person. I can write the subject here, email, and schedule, weekly, monthly, daily, whatever I want. I can send it even now. Okay, weekly. I will choose, for example, you want to see it every Monday. And okay, and that's it. So the pivot will be creating the report, and the automation will be sending the report to the manager each week or every week. And all of this done automatically with the least effort and least time. And that's it about the accounts receivable. Okay. Any questions about the accounts receivable?
Not for now, Tamara, you can continue. Maybe at the end.
Okay. Also here, if you see some customer who is not responsive, you can just right click on it. For example, I see this one is not responsive. I can just right click on this row, and I will select send an update request also to write his email here and the subject email, and also I can schedule to send this on a weekly basis, just to follow up with them in a weekly basis, because it's not easy response to the email. So it's also good thing. So now we finished about account receivable. Now we can.
We have a question now. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Tama. I think a lot of clients would already have an accounting system, and what I'd be interested to know is, how can you sort of connect this to an existing accounting system? And I think you sort of talked about some of those connector apps or importing, say, a .csv, for example. So, if you had a client working on a QuickBooks or a Xero or one of the bigger ERPs, running a standard report or even through an API. I mean, let's forget the API, but let's say you're able to bring in all of your invoice information and all your payments matching information, because actually that is the reality, I think, of most organisations. The bit that is missing, though, is the chasing, the comments and the actions taken by individuals to follow up at either invoice level or at client level. And this is a particular use case that I'm grappling with a client at the moment. I think that's where I would be very interested to understand more, rather than sort of building everything in Smartsheet. How do you work with the existing accounting platform, but hook in the comments, which most accounting platforms do not do very well?
That sounds great. So the first question would be, what do you want to do with that data once it's in the system? Like to which other department you want to communicate with? Let's say that maybe the accounting department is the one that has visibility to the other application, but you want to have it in the system so that key executives have, just the key data that they can see, or a dashboard or something like that. That's completely immersion. So it's just the question about what is the purpose of having that data in the system and to what you want to connect it, to which other roles or departments in the organization.
And we have done actually something similar with a client, which is exactly what you were talking about. Well, actually, our ERP already does collect that data, but it's about how do we manage to free up the time of our workforce to do something else rather than the whole chasing. So we do integrate with platforms like Oracle. They have their own ERP, and it is about the exact same use case that you just mentioned. So how do we just automate that process where it comes out to client and then to the internal people and how to chase it? The rule with Smartsheet is as long as your software has an API, we can integrate. That's the only thing. It might take a bit of work, but if you want to discuss that further, we can take it on later on.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's move to control center add-ons for project management. Okay.
Yeah, project control center, what he's going to show you is for the 3 people that were mentioning in the room that they do look after projects. Control center, think about it as a blueprint. So from those who raised your hand, can you just tell me briefly, how long does it take for you to set up a template for your team to start actually launching a project? How long does it usually take you? Yeah.
It could actually take several days, because as I get feedback from team members, the goalposts change all the time.
Exactly. And I'm glad that you've actually mentioned it, because we have analyzed some information, and what we've seen is companies who already have a template already made. So we're talking about SharePoint presentation, PowerPoint, and Excel reports. It takes them an average about 2 days, and that's them having a template. So they're not even building anything from scratch. I can let you imagine how long it takes for a company when they have everything new. And it's not just about that. It's about when you move to program level, it becomes even bigger because you have an entire program. And then most of the companies at the moment are multinational, right? So it's about how do you connect all of those different countries that you have that are working on the same program, mainly what we're talking about strategy. So as a company, let's say you have a product or a service that you want to launch, and then you have to send it back to all of the different regions for them to implement it according to their own rules there, right? So it's how do you set up that whole template for them to be able to work? Because if you don't set up a template, what ends up happening? It's chaos. Everybody does their own thing. Then halfway down the line, you've even lost what the company is actually trying to achieve when it comes to the business strategy. So this is where Control Center comes into play. Control Center is basically a blueprint that allows company to speak the same language. We don't want people to just be running their own projects on, oh, I'm thinking about running the agile way, or oh, I'm thinking about actually running a bit more less flexible way. We're all doing it the same way. It doesn't matter where you are. We're all following the same language, and this is where Control Center comes into play.
Can you just repeat please how long it takes?
Yeah, I'm an events manager and events organizer. I could be at any time organizing up to say 25 events, maybe ranging across the next 4 to 5 months. And they all have a number of imponderable factors. And I've got a team of 17 stakeholders helping me. all of those, and I mean all of those, can come back to me in a very open-ended way with their own cost estimates, their own venues, their own project deliverables. And it's a nightmare trying to establish all of that at the front end. But my job is having to establish all of that at the front end.
So what about when COVID came into play? We obviously know we have new regulations every other day at this point, right? So let's say now the government is saying, we're actually, to be able to attend or be running any event, you need some new certification or you need some new approval. How do you do that when you're running 25 projects?
This is a fantastic point you make, because literally I would need my team to respond to changing government regulations within, say, a 48-hour time frame. And for instance, recently, when hotels were able to return to 80% volume as opposed to 50% volume, that meant that the number of people I can accommodate at the venue changed dramatically. And it also changed the scope of venues I can now look at. But the larger venues, of course, involve more cost.
Yeah.
So all of those factors change in a domino sequence.
Exactly.
And also the other point was, of course, during lockdown, all of my events had to change from being physical events to online webinars.
Yeah.
And that totally changes my stakeholder dynamics. It totally changes all my cost factors. All of my input change 100%.
So what if I tell you if I can make your life actually easier with Smartsheet?
Yes, please.
Great.
Thank you.
I'll make you sign up that check at the end, yeah. Hammer, you can go ahead.
Okay, fine. I don't see you guys. Sorry. Okay. So as Sarah said, control center is a kind of the blueprint which can help you to manage your projects. So this chart or diagram can illustrate the control center. So assume that this is the control center, and here is the blueprint which Sarah informed about, and all what we need to do is to upload a template, empty template without any data, to this blueprint. And each time we have a new project, we just go to the control center, replicate this template, and start working on it based on the current project. The control center has 3 major tasks, which is giving you reports on the portfolio level from all the projects at once, and improve these projects. For example, you would like to add 1 column, you would like to enhance the dashboard, to change something. If you have 50 projects running at the same time, you have to do one by one if you don't have control center. But if you have control center, you can do this through one place. So the control center is very useful and saving much time when it comes to process improvement. It's also, the third task is archiving. So because each project has collaborators, so once the project is completed, through the archiving options, we can move the project to another workspace, freeze data, and cancel all the access given to the collaborators. So here is the power of the control center. The template which we are uploading here is something like this, which is basically a folder like this, which has Smartsheet items, like project dashboard, the budget, the project plan, empty without any data. If you just can open any of them, it's just empty, no data inside. Just each time we have project, we just go to the control center and we replicate this template and start working on it. Okay, and assuming that this is a live project, which is generated through the control center. This is project 1, for example. This has data because it's already replicated through the control center. We will come to this dashboard in a bit. Okay, and here is the portfolio report, or the portfolio dashboard. You can see all the projects, all the running projects here. For example, I have 2 completed projects, 4 active projects. I have 40 outstanding risks and issues in all these projects. And here are the 4 projects which are active. Here is a completion of each of them. Project A, 30%, project C, 50%. Here is a two project which is completed, which is showing up here, total completed projects. I can see who are the project manager, how many projects they have, each of them have. I can see here's the budget for each project and the variance, each budget. I can see the at-risk projects and why it's at risk, whether it's falling behind the schedule or running out of budget or whatever. And I can see the risks by task in each project. So the project number will be here. This is project 1, this is project 3, this is a task and the at risk. And this is the projects completed by months, and so on. You can design this dashboard according to your needs. This is just for the sake of demo. So this is on the level, but I would like to drill down to see each row of this represents one project. I would like to see this project. I would like to have more detail about this project. So I will just click here to see more details about this project. Yeah, this is the... Okay, Sarah, go ahead.
Dashboard can be customizable. So at the moment, we're working with a big agrochemical company, and the way they wanted to create their dashboard is to be able to understand, for them, projects are countries, different countries. So when we look at their dashboard, they actually have different country flags for them to be able to click on each and see where the project is headed when it comes down to country. You also need to remember that when you do a project, it's not just a one team, right? Finance is involved, procurement is involved, sometimes R&D is involved, HR is involved, and then you have all the project management. So this is where it comes in when we were talking earlier about one of the challenges of visibility across your organization. One, it's just one platform. They can be able to access everything. Live data, again, updating, and then for you to be able to see as it comes, so that your data is still viable and you're not, it's not gone by then. It's still always viable. So think about it as what are your main KPIs that you want to display, and this is what your dashboard is. Your dashboard is, I want to have a look at my bigger picture, and then if I'm actually interested in digging down into the details, you can just do that by the click, which is going to go forward you to either the report or the actual sheet or even your own tasks. So it's all interconnected. Yes, Paul? Sorry.
For example, thank you so much.
So everyone at the webinar can hear this one.
So if for my own tasks, I'm using a timesheet system like a Rebus or something of that kind, is that integratable with this? So I could enter the time that my teams are taking as part of the budget cost of the project for me. Can I integrate with a timesheet system?
So you can, as I said earlier to the lady there, it depends on if your system has an API.
Okay.
Does it have an API?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. So if it doesn't have an API, then it's all about trying to understand how you can import that sheet.
Yes.
We've mentioned earlier the data shuttle, so that can be done through that. We also, as Smartsheet, have a what we call 10,000 feet, which is basically a time tracking. So you can either track the time of your workforce, or you can even track your assets. So I'm not saying you should go and buy 10,000 feet, but I'm just saying is, we do try to integrate everything. But if you don't have an API, the other option that you have is actually collecting and dropping that data into here for you to be able to do the analytical part of things.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. Thank you very much.
No worries.
How many ready-made integrations? Ready-made integrations with how many softwares? So did you hear me?
No, can you?
No, how many ready-made integrations do you have? Like the accounting software, Zero, QuickBooks, all that ready-made integrations. That
Yeah. So this is what we call the connectors.
Yes.
So I think we have, Tamer, do you know how many we have?
We can share the link for all the connectors after the session, so everyone will have the Smartsheet market, so they can see all the connect, because it's a lot. They can see all the connectors with Salesforce, with with Primavera, with many things. You can see all the connectors. We will
I'll
share
give you
the
a few examples. Also, as Accienta, we use Google for our internal operations. So everything that is Gmail or Google-based can also be integrated with Smartsheet. The calendar, for example, you can bring it from Google Calendar into Smartsheet. And then if I have, let's say, an event like this one, and I'm tracking that with Smartsheet, I can combine my work calendar coming from Google and the events, the tasks that I have for myself.
And us as a company, Smartsheet, we have our own product integrated with Salesforce. We use Salesforce as our CRM. We also integrated it with Jira. And it can integrate with any Microsoft project, so the Microsoft full suite that can be integrated with. We also have been integrating, I've mentioned Primavera, so that's the Oracle suite. The rule is as long as you have an API, we can integrate. So we've been working with clients who had different software they haven't worked with before, but we're able to do the integration. So we literally are growing as we go when it comes to the connectors.
Yes, and it's important to mention that there are some already there, like without an API. Like this one from Google that I mentioned, it's already there. All you need to do is activate that link and then select which calendar you want to bring. For example, if you have a personal Gmail, a work Gmail, you can even choose which of those calendars you want to bring.
And one that we have recently added because of COVID is actually DocuSign. So we have worked with DocuSign to be able to integrate that. So that comes back to making sure that you can just sign everything online, and that's integrated with Smartsheet as well. Does that answer your question? Good.
No. Okay, so so this is a portfolio dashboard, as we said, and we went through it, and now I would like to drill down to see more about a particular project. If I'll click here, the dashboard of this project will open. And I'll start to see more details about this project. So reports here, I can see the budget, I can see the project plan. I can see here, for example, let's open the project plan here. Here we can see the project plan, phases, and Gantt chart, critical path, and everything will be shown here. Many reports can be viewed here according to your design. Here's the phases. Here's the budget, here's the project team, the phases and completion for each phase. And here also we can see a table which showing the tasks for each person from his own perspective. So any visitor for this dashboard will see his own tasks in this table. So I see my tasks as Tamer Mustafa. If someone else opens this dashboard, will see his own tasks here. And also, as Sarah said, we can customize any dashboard. This is not a standard dashboard. We can customize it according to your needs. So that's it. Let's walk through the control center itself. I would like to show you the control center itself. So once you open the control center, you will see something like this. All the projects will be listed here. This is the add-on itself now. I'm on the add-on itself. So whenever I have a new project, I will just create a project here and start replicating the project from the blueprint, which I already created after uploading the template. If I need to manage something, if I need to manage this blueprints, or I need to improve the project or something to make global updates, I will click here. I'll just click new update and just start adding new column, modify existing column, and create a new report, replace something, update dashboard, do whatever I would like to do in all the projects, not one by one, just to save time.
So these changes would apply to all the projects inside that portfolio, let's say. So
Yes.
if you need to add a new column, for example, to one of the sheets, or you need to have a checkbox for the COVID situation. So instead of going one by one, you can apply changes to the entire portfolio.
Yeah, and here also we can make an archiving rule that make the process an archiving process based on the rules that you're defining here, to make archiving to one project, to move it to a different workspace, unfreeze the data, and take cancel all the permissions like this, something like this, where you would like to archive the project and remove all the level sharing, display, alert, and actions. Just you can control all the archiving options here. That's all about the technical part today. I hope all enjoyed this technical part and helped you to see your business from different perspectives. And if you really would like to know more about Smartsheet, please feel free to contact us. We'll be more than happy to assist you. I believe that the team are going to share our contact details at the end of this webinar. And also, if you are interested in Smartsheet and you don't know how to design your own solution, we are more than happy to help you to do this, no problem. Just contact us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tamer. So I just wanted to add one more thing. We mentioned earlier that it's important for teams, workforce to be able to access the information from mobile and from your iPad. So we do have something that's called work apps. So work apps, think about it as creating your own application for your organization. And again, there you can be able to control the permission level when it comes to anyone accessing it. You can be able to also create a whole new app just for your clients. So I'm just thinking about one example that comes to mind is if a client wants to make a request to get your product, for example, or your services, you can just custom a form for them, input the information, it will come automatically to you and be assigned directly to someone who needs to look after it. So it's just, yes, sorry.
I just
Let me just give you the mic.
on that. One of the things we're struggling with at the moment is using forms, but not being able to do multi-touch on that form. So it seems like you can only kind of fill it in once and submit it, and that's it. But there are a lot of processes with clients where actually need to touch it multiple times before all the information sort of is available to them. Does that make sense? So, there might be certain processes where I don't have all of the information first time around. So I can kind of fill in a few of the fields and I want to save it and come back later. And we haven't found a solution yet in Smartsheet that allows a client to save and come back later and fill in the rest of the information.
I think yeah, Anas can help.
Yeah, if I understand your question correctly, you are asking about if you want to complete the form partially and then you come back to the same form.
Yes.
Yeah, so at the moment, based on the new release, I think it's gonna come next month, they are working in this particular feature. Now there is available offline forms where you can fill it out and save it, and then will be something when you are online again. So this is being released last quarter. And there was an announcement about this improvement in the forms itself. Yeah.
So I was just talking to you about work apps. We've captured a bit of how your work apps would look like. If you can see, it's not really much different from the desktop version. It's just about being able to access the data at your footprint, at your handprint or handprint? Yeah, at your hand. Okay. So what we've tried to achieve with the demo, and hopefully you guys were able to see this, is manual tasks at the beginning was a big challenge for companies. So how do we save time on manual tasks? Hopefully we have demonstrated that by doing automations, being able to get your data live, getting collaboration from different teams, but making sure that your data is still reliable and viable and actually makes sense by the time it comes to you. We have also touched on change management. So change management is also important. This is why we have partnered up with Accienta. And just to mention, Accienta have won an award with us this year. They have really been doing a great job, and it's been amazing to have their support locally when it comes to working with you guys a bit more closer. I've also wanted to mention how many of you in this room and on the chat still use papers in their job. Papers, invoices, papers, or print things, or yeah, okay. Do you guys, considering we're in Dubai, do you know that they have committed, Dubai as a city, have committed to go paperless by 2021? Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that they have achieved that? They are actually working towards it. It's amazing how fast they're moving. But what we're trying to do is this platform is actually moving ahead with companies. We are growing, we're not something static. And the fact that it's a no-code platform and it's so easy to build and innovate, we're actually moving along on that journey with our clients and with organizations and companies and also countries to be able to do this. So the reason I'm mentioning is because we were working with NHS in the UK, and we had a similar role with Ministry of Health in Saudi. and they wanted to go completely paperless. So it was like, how do we do this? So there is the software part of things, which you can automate online, but there is also how am I going to get my people to actually stop using those papers and come in that change managers piece. So it's the digital transformation. It's trying to get to them to see how it's going to make their life easier. And we know that your best enemy sometimes is yourself, right? It's very difficult to accept change. None of us really like change. So how do we set up that whole culture? And this is where we do bring in Accienta and work with them when it comes to professional services.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Tamer. Thank you, everyone, for your time. This is our last slide. We'll go through the Q&A in just a minute. And again, as Accienta, we are here to help you to go through the entire process, identifying your key workflows, where these two can add the most value to your organization, and guide you and give you recommendations along the way with both training, change management, support, ideas, and of course, as you can see here with some of our consultants like Tamer, like Anas, they are well aware of functionality, upcoming features, so this is quite important for us to continue to support you in the best way. So
thank you. And so the functionalities that we've shown today, some of them are available a la carte, so you can buy them as standalone. Or we have launched with Smartsheet something called Smartsheet Advanced. And it's all about making sure that you get best value for money. So it's how are we enabling organization to make the best use of the functionalities that we have, but instead of buying it as one-off, which can, at the end of the day, can add up really quickly. So how do we package it all up? So we've launched Smartsheet Advanced, and we have the availability. It goes from silver to bronze to platinum when it comes to the functionality that it can offer. So if anyone is interested, I'm happy to speak and have a chat with you guys later on.
So I'm just going to read one of the questions from the chat from our webinar attendees here. This one is from Steven Anderson, and it says, how flexible, customizable is the graphical engine of Smartsheet? Can we connect also to Power BI or Tableau?
Yes, so we can connect to Power BI and Tableau. This is something that we as a company actually use. And what it enables us to do is try to understand how our clients are using the software. And the reason why we want to be able to understand that is so we can be able to come and help you and make the best use of the platform. But also sometimes, you're not Smartsheet expert. So our expert tried to go and see where we can bridge even more gaps or even give you better use of, okay, you know what, you can do this better that way or the other way. So yes, we can. And it is really flexible. It's very customizable. And it's one of the things that puts us apart compared to other SaaS platforms that are out there.
Great. I'm going to read the second question, but this one has already been answered regarding work apps. So the question is, as an admin of the system, are we able to create different security roles for the various control center projects? For example, project admin, input user only, so different roles. And this was answered with the work apps. It will show only what that role should see and the data that they should input, basically.
Oh yeah, and then there is a question asking if you can share the links to the connectors. So yeah, we'll be doing that after the event. We will be sharing the recording if anyone is interested as well. You can share it across your organization, and we'll be attaching the link to the connectors as well.
Do we have any more questions here?
Well, so in our case, we have portfolio companies across different geographies, right? And what ends up happening is there are two aspects to this. One is the language itself and the currencies, right? So is there a way that, whatever data, let's say Egypt, right? We enter an Egyptian pound and we get the data in USD or whatever currency we want, or we will have to do it ourselves, or is there a feature in the smart data?
Yes, the short answer, you will need to do kind of formula around that so you can put the currency exchange, and even it comes to automated or update, could be weekly or monthly based in the international exchange rate of those currencies. So whenever you are doing your invoices, you can restrict it by region, by country, but so whenever you are creating this invoices, it will convert to the desired currency, and you have a one unified currency that you are following across all the region.
And what about the comments, let's say the comments in Arabic or Portuguese, and English or?
For the language, it's support now the platform. The platform support multiple languages, including I think Chinese, Spanish, French. But when it comes to the content itself, you mean the communication area, it will keep whatever the language you are using it. Of course, there is another tools where it can have this task to translate from the language to the other. But for the currency and any kind of formula that you are required in your sheet, it's very flexible to the level, any kind of Excel formulas that you are using, you can implement that in Smartsheet one, and then every sheet will be following that.
Any other questions? Are you guys looking for lunch?
Yeah, my question is, we have been implementing like Smartsheet extensively in our departments. And there are certain gaps in terms of forms, since we are interacting with customers, and we don't want them to like have access to the main sheet to read whatever data is there. So the question is, can we like make forms more responsive? Like for instance, when the customer enters his business partner code, can it duplicate his name and his information for him to see through forms? Is that possible?
Yeah, so here when it comes to the dynamic view value, so it will give you more than functionality than what Tamer showed. Besides the securing and the permission for the information, you can configure kind of logic or workflow around it. So when the information is updated, you can share this link with your client, you will start to interact for the data that they are working in it. So it's dynamic information. So if you are, let's say, for example, if you are updating the data in one of the field and you want to populate the previous information, I guess this is what you are referring to. So the dynamic view itself will bring all the information that capturing from the sheet. And he wouldn't have any access to any other information. So just the relevant information, you configure your logic, you configure the roles or permissions that you want to have in your sheet, and then you can share this link, the dynamic view, with your client. So everyone will see just the information that's relevant to them, and you can change it. You can load some rows it's not unchangeable. You can share certain columns from the sheet. So in your sheet, maybe you can have 100 columns in your sheet, but you can restrict it to a certain column so they wouldn't have visibility in any unrelevant information.
Can we do that on system one, or we have to? Can we do that in the existing sheet that we already built, or do we have to create a new one?
You can do it like utilize it in your existing sheet. So it's a matter of getting the dynamic view as an add-on from Smartsheet, and we help you to configure that. Typically, maybe it will take you 1 day to get trained, and you will be able to configure it. And this dynamic view can use it in multiple sheets, not just in one sheet. So you can utilize it for up, I think, to 30 workflow that you can use it in your account. All right. And worth mentioning here, even for the user, they are going to interact with the dynamic view. No need for them to be paid users. So even if anyone from your supply chain or your client, you just share that link as the form, and then they will be able to interact in the dynamic view without having a paid subscription. So this is a big value. We see it in the market.
So this was recently, right?
The dynamic view was there, but it's not coming with the basic package. It's an add-on. And also like this, how Accienta helped to introduce this kind of how you can solve your challenges in the business, like to optimize it from that sense. There's some workaround, you can do it without the add-on, but add-ons facilitate this information. Thank you.
We just have a question online that says, can we buy Smartsheets add-on on a monthly or a yearly plan? So the answer is both. You can have it both on monthly or on the yearly plan, depending on what your original license platform looks like when it comes to the payment terms.
No.
Awesome. One last question.
Thank you. I was just wondering if any of the clients have a use case which is essentially like a help desk. So I have a client at the moment who are trying to solve, certain client questions relating to accounting, and they're on a Microsoft Outlook platform. The problem is that you want to be able to retain sort of the dynamic chain of emails, and I wonder if anyone has kind of solved that issue to kind of log a job, assign it to someone, but be able to also retain the chain of emails.
Yeah, so we do actually, I do have some clients in my region that have used Smartsheet as a help desk use case. I'm happy to put you in touch with them if you want, so you can have a conversation with them. That'll be fine.
Yes, that would be great. That's what I was going to say. In the region so far, we don't have that use case, but at the global level, they're there. So, thank you. Thank you, everyone who joined via webinar.
Yes,
Live.
thank
Last
you.
word from Sarah.
Now, I'm really grateful that you have attended the hybrid version. So hopefully we'll be able to run these another time during the year. We're planning, as we're growing the region and our footprint in here, to have those twice a year. So it will be good to have you guys again here. I hope that you've learned things that you can take back to your organization. The main point is to expand your ways of thinking and see how you can bring all of these innovations or ideas to your company and implement them there. So thank you. And for those on the webinar, I'm so sorry you can't join us for lunch, but I do hope that you have a good lunch. And for those in the room, please enjoy your lunch and we'll see you soon. Thank you again.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.